Look, for me, the question on K-State has turned from, can this team still be in the Big 12 title race, to, is this team 2024 Florida State bound for 2-10? Is this the latest team to completely tank its season after losing in Ireland? I think anything is on the table for this team right now, unfortunately. And that's not all just about K-State's program. Some of that's just about the environment that we're in college football right now. You get off to a rough start with big expectations. The dynamics are such in the sport right now where the bottom can fall out a lot quicker than it ever could before. So, like, after Iowa State, I was like, okay, this confirmed about what I thought. I was picking them at 9-3 before the year, and I was getting crap from my podcast co-hosts and 3-Ma listeners who were like, you're too negative on the team. They're going to go to the Big 12 championship game. And I just thought, until I see them take a step forward and be a little tougher, grittier, and or Avery Johnson just take the next step as a quarterback, I can't in good faith say that they're going to be a Big 12 championship caliber team. And after the Iowa State game, I was like, maybe this is more like 8-4 again. Just felt like the same team that I had watched. Then after North Dakota, it was like, all right, I guess I can cut them slack for traveling back from Ireland. Like, maybe they still have it in them to rebound and be a contender, but this now feels more like, is this team going to be 5-7, 6-6, something like that? After the Army game now, I'm like, dude, anything's on the table. And it's not even, that Army game, this is not an excuse at all. You got to go win the game. It was a little bit weird and fluky. It was. K-State only had 6 possessions in the game until that last drive in the fourth quarter. They only ran 4 offensive plays. It was weird and fluky. That's kind of what happens when you schedule Army. You've got to understand that that's a possibility. But when you add that to what had already happened this season, and you add that to the expectations, and you add that to 4-game redshirt rule and transfer portal, you got yourselves a problem. You've got yourself a problem. And this is what leads me to, I got the question just a minute ago from Papa Bravo about Chris Klieman. This brings me to the press conference yesterday where, Chris Klieman came into the press conference and basically started with like a moderate defense of what happened. It wasn't, hey, unacceptable, can't happen, which is, the fans want fire and brimstone and like all that. It was definitely not that. He said, he outlined everything that happened in the game, which I don't think he's totally wrong with. The defense was gassed because they were out there so much. Offense only ran 4 plays up until that last drive in the second half. The return touchdown actually hurt them because the defense got no rest and they had to go right back out there on the field. And then it led to Army deciding to try and squib kick the next time that they lined up to kick it. And that turned into a squib kick that hit an up back and was then recovered by Army. And so that may not have happened had you not run the kickback where they were scared of getting another return popped on them. So as crazy as that is, that kickoff return for a touchdown was really a negative thing for K-State. I agree with Chris Klieman on all that. But the bottom line is, dude, you just had back-to-back home games of needing to escape with a last-minute drive against North Dakota, and then you lost to Army with a backup quarterback, by the way. That you can't be defending individual things in that game at that point. That's not, you were in large part the Big 12 preseason title favorite. This is a fan base that is expecting a Big 12 championship game appearance. And so what it comes across to me as, Chris Klieman is not stupid. He knows that, he understands that, but it came across to me as a guy who's trying to protect the locker room, not quitting on him, not giving up on him. And that is really the problem to me here. Klieman always talks about the big strategy shift that they made to win the Big 12 championship after they won 4 games in 2020 and it was a rough year. The strategy shift was, hey, we're going to be a player-led program. Well, if you're a player-led program, you can't basically lose to North Dakota and Army back-to-back weeks and then have to be tiptoeing through your press conference trying not to say anything that's going to make the team quit on you. And that's what it felt like. I don't think that these players, when I've been saying, hey, they're not tough, they're not gritty, this is not, you watch Iowa State's program, those guys are busting their ass all the time. There's no question that they're tough and gritty. And perfect encapsulation of the game, I thought, for K-State. There's a lot of athleticism and talent on that roster, but Jerron Tibbs has a catch on the first play of the drive when K-State is trying to get into field goal range to at least tie it at the end of the game. Perfect ball. A dot from Avery Johnson, showcasing his talent there. Great throw. Jerron Tibbs is open, and he drops the ball. I mean, it should have been a fumble, but he drops the ball when a well-coached, tough as hell Army safety comes in like a missile and jars the ball loose with his helmet. And then it happened again 2 plays later to Jace Brown, one of the better receivers in the Big 12, but finesse guy, same thing to him, and he drops one on the sideline. And then you don't convert on the drive, and that's it. That's done. You know, I mean, it's the kind of team that you have right now. And so I don't think there's a whole lot of like toughness, grittiness that permeates through this roster. And it feels like Chris Klieman is well aware of that and doesn't want the worst case to happen, which is the bottom completely falling out, which is absolutely on the table, man. Absolutely on the table. You know, and if we are going to parse through all the, you can call it excuses or just justification for what happened in the game. Yes, all that is true. You're tired and the onside kick thing and all that. But what you can't do is give up a 2-minute drill touchdown at the end of the half. I mean, into the first half, you're playing a triple option service academy with a backup quarterback in case they gave up a 2-minute drill touchdown. It was 13-0 before that. If you go into the half up 13-0, you're in totally fine shape. But that changed everything. Then Army got the ball to start the second half. And then early in the game, K-State settled for field goals, and they punted on a 4th and 2 from midfield. Your offense has to be better, more efficient than that. A million reasons why that was happening. But you got to be better. You got to be better. And if you have a player-led program, they should look at the results of the last 2 games and be like, coach should go in there and rip us. We should be ripping us. And I don't think that's happening at all. And this is kind of the vibe of these guys. Right? This K-State fans were ecstatic about the recruiting haul with Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards, Lincoln Cure. There's even guys like, Jordan Allen on defense was a big recruit that they kept away from Oklahoma in state. Jace Brown was not a huge recruit, but he turned into one of the best receivers in the Big 12. But they're all kind of finesse, not rah-rah. And the vibe of them is just this like, they're not ass kickers that are just going to go knock you over and make a play when you need it. And I wonder about the dynamics of these were all tough recruiting battles that I think there was a lot of pressure to win, especially because so many of these guys were in-state players. And tough, tight recruiting battles, tough, tight retention battles where K-State's done a great job of retaining the roster over the last couple of years, not losing a bunch of guys. But it feels to me like there's some trepidation about how hard can we coach these guys because we know they have a ton of options and we're paying them a bunch of money and we don't want them to leave. So I feel like some of the dynamics have just shifted so much in the NIL transfer portal era of the sport that, when Klieman won the Big 12 in 2022, NIL was there, but it was still kind of in its infancy, and it was a different environment than it is right now. They also had some guys like Cabe Warner, Deuce Vaughn, Felix Anudike-Uzama, who were, those were more tougher, ass-kicking kind of guys. But I think the dynamics have shifted so much. They seem to be more scared. This is just, I'm really outside observation here, but they seem to be like more scared to really get after these dudes and coach them hard. And that's what this team and this roster needs right now. They need to be coached hard. They need more toughness within them. And it's too late. It's too late in season for that. And so the question becomes now, does the bottom totally fall out and does it turn into Florida State last year, 2-10? Does it turn into Oklahoma State last year, 0-9 in the Big 12? Because it can. You've got the 4-game redshirt rule. Do guys start to bail? If you go lose, because I said it before, I'll say it again. They've got to play at Arizona on Friday. Arizona, who, Noah Fafita suddenly looks like he's got his mojo back. Arizona playing a lot better. Short week after just getting beat up by Army. That's all the talk in the post-game press conference, how tired they were. I don't know, man. I saw K-State was an early Vegas favorite by 2.5 points. I would not bet a cent of my hard-earned money on that at all. Not a penny of any super chat would be bet on that. And if you start 1-3, then our guy's going to be making business decisions. Dylan Edwards hasn't played since the first snap that he was on the field to return a punt in Ireland. What's going to happen with that situation? I don't know. I have no inside info on that at all. I certainly hope that doesn't happen. That's just speculation. it would be a little silly because technically, I mean, a lot is still out in front of you. Even if you're 1-3, only one of those losses would be a Big 12 loss because Arizona's a non-con game. But this is where in the sport today, things are so much more volatile. I mean, look at Florida State. That's the other thing I would caution the fan base on right now is even if that does happen this year, I think you're definitely in jeopardy of that happening this year. But even if it does, that is not like hey, the program's dead and gone. Look at Florida State. They regrouped, different portal haul, a ton of different players, tried again, and bam, they go out and beat Bama week 1, and they look like they're right back in it as a playoff team this year. It's just that's how it's going to be in this sport from year to year. That's what you have with the transfer portal, the redshirt rule, and NIL right now. It creates that sort of environment. So disaster potential is there. We'll see what happens. I would definitely keep your eye on what's going to happen with K-State, but it's a lot of issues. It's a lot of issues. I would say hey, it'll be interesting to see how they respond on Friday, but I've said that the last 2 weeks and they have not responded very well at all. So, hey, it's where we're at. It's where we're at on K-State.